process of removing Statilla's Sauber.
So how fast was he going when he hit this tractor? Or would the speed have not even mattered? What is going on, guys? It is JJ here, back with a new video. Now, obviously, we want to start this video with a little bit of context. I did not know who Jules Bianchi was. I don't know if you guys say Bianchi or Bianchi. I'm going to say Bianchi the entire video. I do apologize if that's an incorrect pronunciation. But I learned when we were taking a look sort of at the biggest F1 crashes, mainly the ones with the most amount of force, essentially the most amount of force that a human in an F1 car has been able to take without being extremely injured and or, in this case, deceased. Apparently Jules Bianchi was a humongous revolutionary in terms of the technology, the safety requirements, and pretty much has ended up being an unfortunate martyr for what is now the halo in F1, which I think is what we're going to take a look at in this video. Now, obviously, the original video you can find in the description below. Please go check out the original video. Go give a big shout out to the original content creator, because their video is the reason we're here. Their video is the reason I'm learning anything about what is probably one of the biggest F1 tragedies, I think, of, you could say, the 2000s. Is it? I'm not going to say it's one of the biggest tragedies, because obviously I don't want to minimalize anyone else's, either mishaps or chaos or issues. But I'm learning. We are learning bit by bit about F1. And this is going to be another step on it. So let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. Please give me context to things maybe that I don't understand or don't know from this. While he is pretty much teaching me from this video, I think I learned the most from you guys in the comments. All the comments you guys leave, absolutely phenomenal. So I appreciate you guys, and let's get into the video. As well, guys, you can find the original video down in the description below. Like I said, go give the original creator a big shout out.
From time to time, we see promising drivers enter the sport of Formula One. As fans, we love the hard-working talent stories that have us heavily invested in one's journey through one of the toughest businesses there is. This was Jules Bianchi. Jules was on his way to being one of Formula One's
Jules Bianchi. Okay, see, this is why I need to watch videos like this and get context, because Jules, I was saying Jules the entire time. So,
stars and most promising talents. With the history of racing running in the Bianchi family, Jules put his talent on display while karting and in the junior categories. In the words of Felipe Massa, he said Jules was the best go-kart driver he saw in his life. That's quite the compliment from a championship caliber driver and the president of the FIA International Karting.
Really?
Like other
I
topics,
just learned who Felipe Massa was
the information used in this video is only what is made publicly available. It's important not to speculate here, and it's best to stick to the facts. Sources will be mentioned in the video and the description. Jules saw some decent results during his rise through the motorsport ranks, including winning the championship in the French Formula Renault series back in 2007, and a couple years later in 2009, Jules would win the Formula 3 Euro Series championship. His talent didn't go unnoticed. In fact, he was rumoured to step in for the injured Felipe Massa after his accident in 2009.
Felipe Massa is watching him as a go-karter and watching him essentially in the lower ranks for their team, and is able to actually say, like, the talent is there. The talent is fully there.
But Jules would take part in a young drivers test for Ferrari in December of 2009 alongside the top 3 drivers from the 2009 Italian Formula 3 Championship. Ferrari was so impressed with Jules that they signed a deal with him. Jules Bianchi became the first ever recruit to the Ferrari Driver Academy. Jules would become Ferrari's official test and reserve driver for 2011 and would be loaned to Force India in 2012, where he would take part in 9 free practice sessions. He would also be the team's official reserve driver. This was a great opportunity for him to gather more regular experience in a Formula One car, as well as being more familiar with the routine of a Formula One weekend. This, I imagine, would have been helpful, since a full-time seat in Formula One was looking more and more likely as time went on.
Especially for Ferrari,
would get that full-time role in 2013 driving for Marisha, a smaller budget back-market team. Nevertheless, Jules made it to Formula One. Competitive car or not, like many other drivers,
you gotta start somewhere.
You have to start somewhere.
Same time, you feel me? You have to start somewhere. You gotta get your foot in the door.
Still watched his progress very closely. He finished his first season 19th with 0 points, but without a decent car under him, There wasn't exactly much Jules could do aside from just finish the race and take a position here and there if the opportunity arose. Marussia kept Jules Bianchi for the 2014 season, where he would partner Max Chilton. Out of 9 races, Jules would outperform his teammates in 8 of them. The real feel-good story would come at Monaco. Jules dragged his Marussia MR03 to P9, scoring 2 championship points, the first ever for the team. A P9 finish for a team like Marussia is a huge boost for the team's overall morale and gave them a little bit of hope, as well as giving the fans a possible look at what was yet to come. Towards the back end of the season, the departure of Fernando Alonso from Ferrari was looking more and more likely.
2014 Ferrari mess.
He stated that he was ready for the opportunity should Ferrari give him a call. Just days later at the Japanese Grand Prix, the race would take place under extreme conditions. Heavy rain due to an approaching typhoon made for difficult track conditions and visibility issues. Adrian Sutil would crash on the outside of Turn 7, otherwise known as the Dunlop Curve. A tractor crane was deployed to the scene in order to remove Sutil's Sauber, and yellow flags were brought out in order to slow the cars. 1 lap later, Jules Bianchi lost control of the car in the same area as Sutil. Reports state that the flowing of the water on the track was the reason for the drivers going off in that area. Jules was heading in the same direction of where Sutil's car was being removed and made contact with the tractor, which caused it to lift off the ground, dropping Sutil's car. Marshals immediately attended to Jules and he was reported as being unconscious. Medical personnel arrived at the crash site and Jules was soon taken to the circuit's medical centre. The decision was made to transport Jules to a hospital, but due to the weather conditions, the helicopter was unable to fly. Jules was transported via ambulance with the police escort.
Wow. Literally, like, that's the worst case scenario for a major F1 tragedy that could happen. Weather, then you can't, like, he's unconscious. Literally, the equipment that you brought on to take out a crashed car is now a danger to the drivers. And now, with the weather, you can't immediately help this man because the helicopters and the medical personnel can't get to them.
Near Prefectural General Medical Centre, which was about 15 kilometers away from the track and a 32-minute drive. Jules suffered a traumatic brain injury. His family released a statement saying, Jules remains in the intensive care unit of the Mie General Medical Centre in Yokkaichi. He suffered a diffuse axonal injury and is in a critical but stable condition. The medical professionals at the hospital are providing the very best treatment and care, and we are grateful for everything they have done for Jules since his accident. This is a very difficult time.
I'm so glad I did not watch that accident.
Messages of support and affection.
I'm so glad I did not watch that accident. That would kill me.
A source of great comfort to us. We would like to express our sincere appreciation. The cause of the accident wasn't down to just one reason. It's a combination of poor weather conditions, flawed safety procedures, and also human error. Shortly after the accident, a video circulated around social media which showed green flags being waved while the tractor was still in the process of removing Sutil's Sauber.
So how fast was he going when he hit this tractor? Or would the speed have not even mattered? Like, the tractor is just in the way. It's in the way of what essentially would have been a wall that he would have hit probably instead.
Motorsport.com have a piece on this situation, saying that the marshal was following the regulations at the time. When the tractor passed the marshal post, the green flag came out. An investigation was launched by the FIA, and a 10-man panel were given the task to thoroughly investigate what happened.
They're not going to go down on themselves. They're not going to.
Was issued containing their findings and was presented to the FIA World Motorsport Council. Key findings of the investigation were published on the FIA website and include 11 dot points to summarise. Water flowing onto the track was obviously a big reason as to why the 2 cars went off at that section. Another issue that was found during the investigation can be found at point 7. During the 2 seconds Bianchi's car was leaving the track and traversing the runoff area, he applied both the throttle and brake together, using both feet. The fail-safe algorithm is designed to override the throttle and cut the engine, but was inhibited by the torque coordinator, which controls the rear brake-by-wire system. Bianchi's Marussia has a unique design of brake-by-wire, which proved to be incompatible with the.
So they're going to blame the car. So they've not only now. So instead of the track conditions or the marshals or the rules that they had in place for a simple race, they are now blaming the engineering of the vehicle's brake-by-wire system. I can see where this is a mess.
The FIA concluded the
I can
dot
see where
points
this is a
by
mess.
saying it is considered fundamentally wrong to try and make an impact between a racing car and a large heavy vehicle survivable. It is imperative to prevent a car ever hitting the crane and all marshals working near it. A number of recommendations were made after the investigation, and some big changes were set to enter the sport in the name of safety and making sure this never happens again. Some of the most notable changes include the introduction of the virtual safety car and the 4-hour rule, meaning the start time an event shall not be less than 4 hours before either sunset or dusk, except in the case of a night race. This accident also re-sparked conversations about closed cockpits. Jules Bianchi was moved to a hospital in his home country of France to continue with his recovery and be easier for his family to access. On the 25th of July 2015, Jules Bianchi tragically passed away. A statement from the family read, "It is with deep sadness that the parents of Jules Bianchi, Felipe and Christine, his brother Tom and sister Melanie, wish to make it known that Jules passed away last night. Jules fought to the end, as he has always done, but yesterday his battle ended. We feel an immense and indescribable pain. Hearts around the world broke for Jules Bianchi. An accident that resulted in the death of a Formula One driver shook the racing world, and it was a sad reminder to everyone that motorsport...
It can be cruel and it can be unnecessarily dangerous. Like, think about it. Think about what they were just discussing in this. He essentially is doing this for a team and a racing car, and it's a team that, like, is kind of non-existent. Like, think about it. Like, he was the only one to ever get them a championship points. Like, the car they know is a lesser vehicle. Like, does that not rack your brain? Like, that racks my brain to think. Maybe racks my brain is not a good analogy to use for this, but thinking about it hurts, because he essentially was driving for a car as practice for being an F1 driver, for the potential to be a big team driver for a car that he probably would have better control over, would have better steering, better accuracy, would be a better driver for, and him being in this lesser car could have cost him his life. That's crazy.
His funeral was attended by various Formula One drivers who
obviously like, you can't just blame the car, but like, that's
talent. Jules was the first Formula One driver to pass away since Ayrton Senna in Imola back in 1994.
20 years.
Stings so much because we never got to see the full potential of Jules in a competitive car. We just saw the beginning of his journey, and the potential he had was realised by all around him. Former Ferrari chairman Luca Di Montezemolo said that Jules Bianchi was the driver the team had picked for when Kimi Raikkonen's time with Ferrari came to an end. That's what Jules was, the future.
He's the future, and his future was cut short.
A story that a lot of people
that's crazy.
Seeing. Though we never saw that, the legacy of Jules Bianchi remains forever. Carried on by the fans and his godson Charles Leclerc, Jules Bianchi is simply too important to ever forget.
His godson is Damn, that's just depressing. Damn, I do not need that in the middle of my day. But I'm happy to, like, these are the things, like, I know the Senna tragedy is next too, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I don't like watching things about, like, sporting, you know, whether it's like athletes or drivers or just anyone who dies in the name of sport. Believe me, I'm a die-hard sports fan, but I could never imagine dying doing a sport that I love, if that makes any sense. Yeah, but obviously, let me know your guys' thoughts on this down in the comments below. Please educate me on sort of, I guess I need to watch a video on what sort of the implications of this were, and they never really got down to the fact of, like, whose fault it was. They never revealed, like, whose fault, like, have his family, like, done, like, an antitrust lawsuit, anything, like, who is at fault here? Can you just say, like, no one's at fault because it's a sport, because it's F1? I don't think so. I don't think you can do that. So, yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts though on it down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.